Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all doing fantastic, and that you're all having a great day. If you couldn't tell, I just woke up, I don't understand. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. There's a link in the description below. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So it looks like, at least at the time of me making this video, that optimism is flowing back into our market. For those of you who somehow missed it, I'm not really sure. The Fed in the United States cut interest rates by 0.5%, by 0.5. I think the other banks around the world, the other central banks, also left rates unchanged, or did they? Or no. I think the one in Brazil, I think, lowered it as well. And then the Bank of Japan left theirs unchanged, which also added to like some further extra bullish momentum. Because the idea is that if they had raised it, we would have probably seen a crash down in prices like we saw at the beginning of August. So therefore, them not raising it or leaving it unchanged was relatively bullish, though they are expected to raise it sometime either by the very end of this year and or January of 2025, simply because their economy is not doing too hot with many other places around the world, as we've been talking about. A lot of people, I'll say it this way, a lot of people seem to be very confused that other world events are taking place, and they think that it's just stuff within the United States. No, everywhere is having like difficulty economically right now. So this is apparently why the Fed lowered the interest rates by so much. On top of that, when I said the optimism is back, the idea was that we were only going to get a 0.25 cut, and then we ended up getting a 0.5. You saw cryptocurrency prices rising, the expectation for where Bitcoin's going to go, what's going to happen. That continues to mount and go ever higher as people are now once again screaming from the top of digital mountains where prices and things are going to go. There's a guy, his name is Michael van de Puppe. He's incredibly popular. Is between him and that other guy, is it Dr. Profit or Mr. Profit? That is Profit. They're for some reason like two of the most popular analysts, at least right now, trending on Twitter. Michael has forecasted that Bitcoin will soon be reaching a new all-time high, surpassing its previous peak of $73,700. According to Van de Puppe, founder of MN Consultancy, the leading cryptocurrency could hit this milestone in the coming weeks. Between people talking about that, and I feel like we might even hit that a little bit quicker. Like this is a personal sentiment, if you will, on my part. Sorry if I sound crazy. I know, like, I'm sitting here like one eye is like half open. I'm trying to look at the screen. The other one part of me like wants to just go back to sleep. The general sentiment that I've even felt over the last couple of days, my friends are like back in the market. Like everyone's talking about it again. Like, I don't know why all it took was a Fed rate cut for everyone to seemingly become bullish in everything once again. I mean, it's quite nice to see. We're also not that far from, I don't know if you've been paying attention, this has been one of the quickest months in the entire world. I've never had a month go by this fast. I'm sure time is different for everyone, and someone's like, this has been the slowest month. No, like I wake up, I have like multiple projects and things that I have to do. I look at the time, it says noon. I'm like, okay, cool, I have the rest of the day ahead of me. I look at the clock again, it says 4, and I'm like, I should go outside for a walk. I come back, it's like 7, then it's dinner time. Then I'm like, well, I don't want to work at like 8 or 9 o'clock. Go to bed, and then I'm like, wait, that was an entire day that completely passed me by. And this keeps, I mean, this is like the constant loop that's going on. Everything seems to be like accelerating in some sort of way. Anyway, the point is, and I say, time is moving quickly because of Q4. Q4 basically being October, November, and December, for those of you who've somehow missed it as well. In July, late July, early August, the general sentiment was Uptober. That is to say, October, but with the word up in front of it. Get it? Where people are basically saying that the cryptocurrency market is going to recover in October. That October would be the time when we actually saw the previous or brand new all-time highs. We'd go over near $80,000. And that's where we get by the time we get to December, the $100,000 to the $150,000 Bitcoin. In my mind, it all seems completely logical. I saw people talking about it before the Fed rate cut. This is officially the worst after halving that we've ever had. And I mean, it caused a lot of people to leave the market, but that was also by design. Like I said before and have always said, we're not meant to be in the market. All markets are meant to be controlled by rich people. They don't want normal people there sullying the market for them as they try to find a way to better control it. But where we currently are right now still seems a little weird. We should be well over, even if without having to longly reiterate once again. All the analysts have basically said the exact same thing. And it's not just hot air. It's more like from an actual metric perspective. It's one thing if someone's like, we should be over $9 million, or actually going through the figures, going through the usage, going through all these other things, like how many people are mining, yada, yada, yada. We should actually be well over a $200,000 Bitcoin just based off of proper metrics and new people getting in the market and the mining and all these other things like that. So it's nice that people are still hanging on, but a lot of people have left the market. Once again, all by design. He says he's anticipating a brief pullback in Bitcoin's price to $57,000 before the upward momentum continues. And I'll say in his defense, sometimes before in the past, this was, and I won't use the word necessary. It just it happened, there was a movement back and then a complete push forward, almost said skyrocketing. Yeah, I guess that word works. But the issue is that a lot of analysts usually say, and have been saying as long as I've been in the market, that the market needs to move back, that the market needs to do this, and it's not always a given. It's not something that always happens. We don't always have to retest numbers because someone says so, especially as the entire summer was just one gigantic retest of numbers, if you will. But yeah, the optimism is back. Everyone seems to relatively be happy again. I see a lot of chatter and murmur once again about NFTs. I assume that I think we mentally need to have a good month of proper movements upward to kind of really reignite this idea of okay, we're back. Let's all kind of do this, because sentiment was extremely low for a while. But I mean, if we end up getting to a $75,000, $78,000, $80,000 Bitcoin in the next couple of weeks, once again, I threw my hands into the air because I'm like, who knows where the market is going to go? Everything around the world is very unstable right now. But if we have a really strong pump, it'll get back into mainstream news. People will start flooding back into the market. Prices will go higher. Whales continue to buy, so that's also going to have a mega effect on the prices. And yeah, so someone wrote on Twitter last night before I went to bed. It was something along the lines of it's crazy that every time that Bitcoin goes up, everything else also follows. And he was like, I don't understand it, but I like to see it. Yeah, it's the way that the market works. Bitcoin is the market. Other coins can act independently, but if Bitcoin tends to do well, the altcoins also have a good time as well. So yeah, without having to go through too much of the article, it's just he's basically talking about when prices are going to go higher, the time frame, yada, yada, yada. And I think we get it. That's the Bitcoin apparently is going to start going higher. We're not too far from October. I am very interested to see exactly what ends up happening because everyone seems to be convinced that Q4 is going to be it. Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's move on. In major news, this is like one of those days where like this news shouldn't be popular, but everyone's kind of like more or less jumping for joy for it, and I don't really completely understand why. The Bank of Canada has reportedly shifted its focus away from the idea of introducing a digital Canadian dollar. If you have been watching this channel, I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only channels who actually like follows news and not just like Solana hype. A lot of central banks around the world have announced that they're basically not going to go for their central bank digital currency, or they're not going to do X, Y, and Z, and I think a lot of, and I don't even know why. These things were never going to actually be popular, and I don't mean from like a paranoid standpoint of people being like they don't want to be tracked and traced. The problem with this is that every bank, not some banks, every bank was trying to create their own coin. We saw this years ago with JP Morgan coin, and then we heard that Bank of America coin was going to be released, and every bank was trying to do the same. Many of them were creating or using their own blockchains and or using forks of Ethereum. And the issue is that none of these things were going to be interoperable because every bank was trying to get every other bank to use it. So let's literally say you had roughly around 800 independent banks in major economic areas. No one's using 800 different coins. So the CBDCs shifted away from that idea into simply making stable coins. And this is why we saw the popularity of stable coins like kind of ignite more this year between Tether, Coinbase desperately trying to get people to use Circle Coin, and the news that we heard from Ripple that they planned on making or planning on making their own stable coin. And that's mainly because of the banks who they're also using. So this idea of like actual decentralized blockchain interoperability is kind of like coming to light. So a lot of banks have announced that they're like no longer really pursuing it or have no immediate plans to do so, irrespective of how many people think they might be lying or have a theory about it. Like there's no real reason to actually do this, as I've said before. Finance and money are already digital. The idea of a digital dollar or digital whatever, CBDC, is basically about the bank being able to figure out who's not paying their taxes. I know it sounds completely insane, but if you watched any of the early depositions from 2018, 2019, it has to do with, of course, control. They're a government. That's their motto. But the second part is a lot of countries believe that many of their citizens are evading taxes, not paying taxes. I mean, I watched the entire thing and multiple of these other things that they had. And the idea was that if you digitize everything, that basically you can kind of tell who's skimming off the top or skimming off the bottom or not, giving anything at all. And that's why we heard from the head of the Fed this was maybe a month or two ago. He was like, yeah, like the US has no like immediate plans of doing it. And everyone was like cheering. And I was like, you don't understand. Like crypto's not like a big focus for a lot of like the financial world. I know that like, we're kind of everywhere and we're permeating, yada, yada, yada. But crypto's not usually like the center of everything. Like they already have control of everything. They don't need to introduce like a digital extra thing to get extra control. They already know everything that's going on, despite what many people would like to think. So the news that the Bank of Canada is lightly shifting away their focus from a digital Canadian dollar was incredibly popular news. It says the Bank of Canada seems to be shifting its focus away from developing a government-backed digital currency 7 years after it first began exploring the idea in response to the rapid digitalization of payments. Per a CBC News report, the Canadian Central Bank appears less inclined to pursue the so-called digital loonie I hope, were they really going to call it that? For those of you who don't speak English as a first language, a loony is basically someone who's crazy. I hope they weren't going to call it like crazy coin. That just wasn't make any sense. As of press time, the Bank of Canada made no public statements on whether it has paused its research efforts towards developing a digital currency. In a commentary to the CBC News, a spokesperson to the central bank admitted that the bank had undertaken significant research on the implications of a retail central bank digital currency. And retail is the really important word there. A lot of other countries have announced that they're actually once again foregoing the idea of a central bank digital currency, and they're simply going to be creating a government stable coin for their country. And a lot of these are also apparently just going to be for the banking system, like for their actual internal workings. Because for those of you who also didn't see it, China created their own literal central bank digital currency back in 2018, 2019. I want to say 2018, yeah, somewhere around there. And the problem is that no one wants it. No one wants to use it. They were doing literal airdrops, like from the air, like the sky above you. They were doing airdrops in these like little red envelopes, like on cities and on people, who were basically then like going on social media and telling people how benevolent and awesome the government was for giving them money, and then no one used it. Like people were kind of cashing it in, like swapping it back to their normal like fiat. They don't really use paper there either, but their normal fiat currency, like it just wasn't a thing. So then we had another country who also tried to get people to use it. Also wasn't a thing. So we already have digital payment. You've been fear-mongered by your politicians multiple times into thinking that this is going to be the crux. This is the thing that makes you lose freedom when you lost freedom back in the 70s already. So yeah, incredibly. I mean, like, you don't understand. Like, this was incredibly popular news. Every website was talking about it as if it was some kind of like major win for everyone. And it's like, it's 2024, right? And everything is already. Anyway, that's the Bank of Canada digital dollar news. Fantastic. I mean, I'm excited to not have it because, okay. Alrighty. Let's move on. Also in popular news, and this is once again, this lets me know that a lot of people who are in crypto or who've just whatever are brand new to the space, because people keep reporting and talking about stuff as if it's the first time that it's ever happened. According to a recent report by the Ashi Shimbun, Agile Energy X, a subsidiary of Tokyo Electric Power Company Holdings, has apparently started exploring Bitcoin mining with the help of surplus green energy for years, and I think people forget about this, and that's basically people within crypto. Everyone seems to be always hyper-focused on what prices are doing, as opposed to realizing that multiple countries around the world are mining Bitcoin. They're hoarding Bitcoin. They're using Bitcoin. It's a very big thing, and until you actually realize that, you won't be able to, I don't want to say be bullish on the market, but have any actual idea of what's really taking place. This is why a lot of people leave the market. When prices go down by a little bit, they get scared and they sell because you're not looking at the larger picture. I'm not even talking about looking, look 10 years in advance to see what's going on. But I mean, like, crypto has already won. And the issue is that we're seeing, it's not some kind of like revolutionary kind of thing. What's happening? It's more of I want to say a fear-based thing. And this is why we see a lot of countries beginning to mine Bitcoin and accumulate it and also using it. It's because they're trying to get away from the US dollar. It's because they see the economic turmoil. They're basically like hedging as much as they can in multiple different directions. And Bitcoin just happens to be one of the actual winners in this game. For those of you who missed it also a couple of days ago, oh gosh, what country was it? There's another country who announced that they are also mining Bitcoin and have been mining Bitcoin for a while, and they have like hundreds of millions of dollars of it. And It's just something that takes place. If more people paid attention to the actual news and what governments and countries and companies are doing, even as I say those words, I know that like people are very like, the only word I can find is blasé, like about it, like it means nothing to them because they just care about the actual prices. But like you're missing the world changing right in front of you. I don't know what else I can really. The company has already set up mining equipment in Togichi and Gunma prefectures. It focuses on the locations where it's possible to utilize excess renewable energy. Kyushu, the southwestern most of the country's main islands, frequently has to deal with untapped electricity that gets generated from untapped electricity. What? Okay. According to a 2021 report by the Manichi, the equivalent of several reactors worth of generating capacity could be wasted within a day. Jeez, several. Oh my gosh. Okay. So cool. Yeah. This is another energy company who's basically going to be mining Bitcoin. There are dozens at this point who are doing it. A lot of people forget because once again, it enters the news. People talk about it or people don't talk about it, which usually ends up being the main problem. So we will probably hear, I give it until next summer. Next summer seems like an adequate amount of time. We're going to hear exactly how much Bitcoin that they've been mining, and then people will once again react to this as if it's something extremely brand new. It's not that it's not cool or interesting, which I personally find it this way. When you find out that like most governments around the world themselves are mining Bitcoin and or their subsidiaries. It's the same exact thing with years ago, me screaming at the top of my lungs, and I think I got through to maybe 8 people. For those of you who missed it, no, Bitcoin is not banned in China. That was just propaganda that was rolling around to make you think that something was extra wrong with China. Cryptocurrencies are still legal there. You just have to like buy and sell them and essentially trade them at over-the-counter desks, like actual like over-the-counter markets. What was the other thing? And Bitcoin mining is not banned there either. There's a huge portion of Bitcoin mining still happening within China. The other crazy part, which people keep always forgetting, is that it's actually like these are government companies, like government-run companies, who are actually mining the Bitcoin for the government. But people always forget that part as well. So we know that the Chinese government is also like mining and holding Bitcoin as well. So yeah, people will figure it out one day. People will understand everything that's been going on. But as I always say, not everyone's going to make it to the finish line because a lot of people keep getting distracted and thinking that other things are going on or dealing with other coins. But that's for their portfolios to figure out. That's the energy company in Tokyo is going to start mining Bitcoin. And yeah, let's move on. Also in ridiculously popular news, like I get it, but dude, it's not that deep. Like I don't understand where all this optimism comes from these like weird, lackluster kind of events. You can even see, for those of you not looking at the screen, usually most articles have like an image that kind of like usually will show what's going on. Like I don't know if you saw for this one, it showed like a Bitcoin and then like a coin that has like the Japanese flag on it, like usually something indicative of what the article is going to be about. This one looks like Noah's Ark just exploded and all the animals are running amok on this beautiful Galapagos-y island with a gigantic Bitcoin in the middle and waterfalls. And so this was by far one of the most popular news stories that we've gotten in a while. I get it, but also like it's not. The U.S. state of Louisiana has announced that residents can now use Bitcoin, Bitcoin Lightning, and USD Coin to pay for state services through private, secure crypto wallets. Right. They said, and I quote, by introducing cryptocurrency as a payment option, we're not just innovating, we're providing our citizens with flexibility and freedom in interacting with state services. This was said by Louisiana State Treasurer. For those of you who missed it, people in Louisiana can now spend their hard-earned crypto that is going to be worth more in the future, except for USD coin. For government services, whatever government services you can think of, those are the services you can now pay for. We've had years ago, there was a thing, you can even Google it, where the Fed was actually allowing, I think, Bitcoin for, was it IRS payments? I forgot exactly what it was. And other places around the world kind of also did the exact same thing. There was something in 2017, 2018, where people in France could also get paid in Bitcoin. That was around the time, for those of you who missed it, where all the sports stars and all the basketball players, near specifically, were also getting their paychecks, if you will, also like 50-50 and half in cash and then half in Bitcoin. We've had stuff like this for a very long time through other companies and subsidiaries, which is also still the case. This is also going through a third party. So there are already tons of services. I don't know what they're called. I'm not a resident of Louisiana. I don't know. Where basically, let's say you wanted to pay a bill for some sort of reason. You would use that service and give them your crypto, and they would give the dollar equivalent, like in paper money, to the actual government who you're trying to pay. So it's already been a thing, but there always needs to be some kind of a third party type of thing. Louisiana State Treasurer John Fleming announced on Tuesday an innovative transition with state government plans to accept cryptocurrency as a valid form of payment, allowing the integration of digital currency into Louisiana's public operations. The announcement detailed, Louisiana residents will now have the option to pay for state services with their private, secure crypto wallets. These popular types of cryptocurrencies will be Bitcoin, Bitcoin Lightning, and USD coin. So people are already allowed to pay for things with crypto everywhere. This is why Coinbase has a Coinbase coin, and I believe Binance has a Binance card. Like they have Visa and MasterCards already issued from these crypto exchanges. Does anyone know? I can't be the only one. So basically, like on Coinbase, you would like get a card issued, and it's attached to your cryptocurrency wallet, and you can say like, hey, I want to use this coin for the cards. You would swap it over to say, I want to just use my Ethereum for my transactions as I'm paying for stuff. And it works the exact same way as you're paying. So once, it's not that it's not revolutionary, but it's also like this was the most popular news story of the day. I don't really get it, how this became really popular. A lot of people, doesn't have it here as well. So apparently the first payment was made to the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Fantastic. Also right here, we're going to go over that in 2.5 seconds. People online were like, oh, I hope Massachusetts is next. I hope Texas is next. And it's like, you can already pay for things in crypto. I'm not really understand. I understand that like it's meant to be like symbolic, like the extra integration into things. The only reason why they're announcing this is because they know that cryptocurrency prices are going to go higher. Do you think it was random or weird that they just happen to now want you to pay in Bitcoin as the expectation from a lot of analysts that is that going to $1 million? That was the issue about a decade ago, where that other website was trying to get, what was it? Was it Overstock? Where they were trying to get people to like buy socks and all these other things with Bitcoin. And I remember saying, I was like, what happens if Bitcoin goes to like 10K a coin? Like, that's going to be pretty crazy. And then lo and behold, like it's all these companies. I mean, governments are also companies basically figuring out that like you have crypto, they need more crypto, they want your crypto. So therefore, if you can keep paying your bill for the rest of your life in it, you'll look back and go, oh my gosh, at some point I paid $15,000 for an electricity bill. The state, however, is not accepting cryptocurrencies directly. To facilitate these payments, a service converts incoming cryptocurrency transactions into US dollars, ensuring that the state avoids handling cryptocurrencies directly. That defeats the entire point of it. What are you talking about that you're trying to integrate them into the system if you will never actually touch the crypto yourselves? This is exactly what the companies since 2018 have already been doing. It's literally what they've been doing the entire time. You send a company your crypto and then they convert it into your local fiat currency and then they give it to the government and or service. This was super popular news. Like really, 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 yeah, hoping for Wyoming and Massachusetts. They're not doing anything. Nothing has been done. Once again, I understand that it's meant to be like symbolic, but it's kind of that same exact thing where other states had to make a law that basically made it legal for you to have your own crypto. For those of you who weren't here for it, a bunch of states in the United States have basically created and implemented laws that say if you buy crypto, it's yours. If you get crypto and you have it on a wallet and someone steals your crypto, they're in trouble because it's your property. And I was like, we had to make laws to let people know the stuff that they bought was theirs. So whatever this is some kind of publicity thing. I'm not exactly sure the extent of it, but there's no real, this isn't a breakthrough in adoption. They're not even touching crypto. They're still getting the dollar version. Right. I think that's going to do it for this video. I think I've woken up like 8%. Like my eyes are like half closed. I don't know why sometimes I like roll out of bed and then just start working, but here we are. Right. I hope that you've all enjoyed my sleepy ramblings. I hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.